Hi, I'm Lars. Welcome back to the shop. We are about to embark on getting the setup for the pour. This will be another video, and then the pour will actually end up being a completely different video because there's going to be a lot to it. So this is everything that we are going to have to go through to get our area, our job site, ready to pour concrete. That includes putting in Stayforms, that includes putting in a bunch of gravel, and it also includes getting the forms up around the outside of the wall, putting in all the rebar, the reinforcements, and making sure that everything will not blow out the forms. Concrete is really heavy, and any too much weight on a form, if it can't hold it, it will literally push it away. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so what we're doing here is we're trying to build a form on the outside of these posts. These posts will be gone when we're done, and we need to come off 4 inches off the back, off the center of these posts back, which puts us about 2 1/8 inches in on these joists. This is where the form needs to be for the concrete, because the concrete's going to come in and there's going to be a stayway wall that's going to hold the gravel, and then the concrete's going to come in and it's going to pour over like a waterfall. So we need a form on the outside made of plywood or 2x or whatever. Usually it's plywood, and that will allow us to shape the outside wall of the concrete. Now, for this hot tub deck, we need to cut off 2 1/8 inches, and then that will be put, rim joist will be put back in place. We're just basically moving this rim joist back so the edge of it hits the 4-inch mark off the center of this post. In order to do this, this outside wall needs to be 8 inches thick. So it's 4 inches off the center of this post back and 4 inches off the center of the post to that metal wall holding all the gravel in. These posts will get removed. Rebar will be put down on the ground, so these will act like an anchor to the ground. So in the back here, we need to cut off 2 1/8 inches in order to put a rim joist back on, or just move the rim joist back, and then the front of that rim joist will be 4 inches off the center of this post. I hope that makes sense, because there's a lot there. Make sure that, hang on, what are you doing here? You gotta pull this up. Yeah, you can't move it, hang on. At this point, what we're doing is we're trying to put up what's called the form for the concrete wall. Right here at the hot tub is the best place for us to start. This will kind of, we'll end up eventually putting a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, and we'll come up and match this and go the entire length of the deck, and then it will turn around and it'll finish up in the back there. But for this part, we're going to take some 2x material, probably the 2x10s over there that used to be under here for the beam, and we're going to put these in at this here. So this here, we're not really concerned about what the concrete's going to look like per se, because this is never coming off. The board on the bottom will come out. You know, whatever we used up here at the top to come to the top of the concrete as it comes in, that will come off also. But right now we're going to be spending the next probably half hour or so just trying to get this in place. And as you can see, down at the end down here, this here has a pretty steep grade going down. So there's a pretty steep slope going down at the end of this wall. So we'll have to get a little creative down there on how we fix that. Alright, so now I hope you understand what I was trying to say. This is going to be where the concrete goes to, and we'll have a wall probably up to about here on the outside for the form. And this will be made out of 2 by or 3/4 inch plywood, and in between where these decking boards are, we'll put an extra piece of 3/4 inch plywood just to keep this flush. So all the way down here, when we're done, we will bolt these in with lags, and then these boards will come out, and because I've got them screwed to this, we'll be able to pry them out once we disconnect them from the top. So step number 1 for the wall is done. No, Susan's not trying to burn down her house. She's using an old technique that's comes out of, I believe, Japan, or at least from the far east, if you will, Asian countries. They used to treat their lumber, they used to burn it. And what the burning does, can't even do this. So what the burning does is, first thing you do is you burn the wood, and then you knock off all the spots that got burnt, and you try to get as burnt as much as you can. Being that this lumber is already, and I'm going to air quote, treated, it's not going to get as dark as we want it to, but we're going to get everything that's not physically still got chemicals in it, if you will. Once the treating is, once the burning's done, once we do the first coat of burning, then we have to do is we got to coat it with canola oil, and then that'll make it last for about 100 years. To give you an idea, treated lumber normally lasts about between 30 and 70 years is what they say. So we'll see if it works.
Can you grab your other hand and pull that up where it needs to go?
You're barely overlapping the radio.
It's not going to be even with that. Hold on, you're pulling.
It just needs to cover. So before you start anything with a project that's on the outside of your house, you want to protect the wood of your house above and beyond everything else. And then to do that, in addition, people put Tyvek on and it covers up, but as you can see, Tyvek gets little tears in it. It's going to have siding or something on top of that. It's not going to come all the way down to your sill plate, because if you're putting a deck up, your deck's going to be below your door, and your sill plate and your rim joist is going to be here. So you put something up that's called flashing. If you look for the non-printed flashing, it's going to be a lot cheaper, and I'm talking like it's going to be about half the price to get the non-printed than the printed. You're never going to see it, so don't worry about it. You put this up, this will protect from water coming down and getting behind here and eating out your wood. Now that's a huge thing, and trust me, I've dealt with it with this door because somebody didn't put this door in correctly, and we had water leak on the inside. Even though we did everything right on the outside, it still leaked on the inside. So now they have these little trays you can put your doors in, which are immensely, they have little drip spouts. I think they call them weep holes. But anyway, so your flashing goes up. You don't need to adhere it with glue or anything. Just tack it up in place. It'll be fine. We put window adhesive on top. just to give you a better seal proof here, this here is got like a gummy goo on the back of it. I use it on top of my joist on my decking boards too, so it works really well. The next part of this is, once you get all this up, is you need to mark where your concrete's going to go, where the top of your 411 aggregate's going to go, and where the top of your fill aggregate's going to go, which we're using 4 LS's for that. So we'll raise this up to here, and then we'll put the 411 in, and then this is where the line is, where the concrete folks, when they come and pour it and level it and stuff, where they know it needs to be. We did use a laser beam on this. You do not need to use a laser on this. If you get an 8-foot or at least a 7-foot level, you can mark where you want this, lay it out, level up, mark the other end of it, and keep on going. I recommend putting these things about every 2 to 4 feet, these little markings. They help you out when you're pouring the gravel. The laser did help us with, on the other side of this, we need to know how far down it's going to go and whatnot. Instead of using a string and a line level on the string, you could do that too, just to mark where this point is over on the other side, this point on the other side, and this point on the other side. And I'll show you that here in a second. So the points I'm trying to make is, this one here is the top of the concrete, top of the 411 gravel, top of the aggregate. And if we go right around the other side, you will see we have the top of the concrete, we have the 411, and we have the aggregate. This line here is because we're putting a slope from that side, from down there, all the way to the other end. And this is where that slope's going to be. So that's going to knock down all of our aggregate at that point. So this is what we had originally. This is due to the slope. Then we measure down 4 inches on each one. All right, so this is the first load of aggregate that we brought in, or you can call it gravel. This is number 4's LS. It's about up to 2 inches. Now, this is 20 tons of gravel, right? To give you an idea of how big this thing is, it's this big. It's probably 30 feet in diameter at the bottom. So in this area, this is 1 truckload. It's about 20 tons. It costs about 20 bucks a ton. 2 years ago, this used to be $12 a ton. Now it's 20 bucks a ton. And this is 2024. This aggregate is going to go underneath the deck. This is the first truckload. There may be more, I don't know, but until we move it, we won't know. But this is what's going to support a electrical cable that is in a tube underneath the deck, and we'll go take a look at that right now. All right, for this portion of the prep, I'm going to call it, for the porch, we've got a power line here. It's running 240 in it, or 220, whatever you want. It's a double 20 amp breaker. Well, it's actually a double 50 amp breaker. I need to get some what they call Stayform put up, but I'm not going to do that yet because I need to know where this pipe is going to lay. And with the way that this is set up, I'm going to turn the camera down here. With the way this is set up, this pipe goes all the way down to here and up to this power supply, which goes out to our hot tub. So we need to make sure that's in the gravel. The second thing that we're dealing with here is whenever you're pushing gravel in, you got to make sure that you plan properly. So in this area right back here, we have all this 4LS aggregate coming in. So it's like, you know, it's probably about that big, about up to 2 inches in size. And on top of that, we have to put 411s in, which are 3/4 to dust in. And then that's all got to get tamped. But if I fill this area up here, right here, with gravel right now, if we start filling all this out to the front, I can't get that gravel to the back. So we're going to take this gravel in the back up to this post here, because I think, you know, the bucket can, the tractor bucket can get it back to there. And then we'll put 411s on top, and at that point in time is when we'll put our first piece of Stayform over here. Then we'll put our second piece of Stayform that will go from that post to this post and a little beyond, maybe. And then we'll fill the rest of this in the middle here up to these 2 posts, or 3 posts, with the number 4 aggregate. Now, remember we were talking about this pipe a couple seconds ago. So that's going to tell us where this pipe's going to go. Alright? It's got to be in the aggregate. It cannot be in the concrete. So right now there's a board sitting right here that's holding it up. That will have to come out of the way. We'll put aggregate in, and then we'll start settling it down. So that's the step that we're working on next. Now you may be asking yourself, why is there already gravel here if we just got this truckload of gravel? Well, I usually have a little bit of this gravel laying around on the property. That's about 6 ton of gravel there. So I'm hoping this 20 ton will fill in the rest of this, but I don't know. Okay, so you can see here I'm wiring up this Stayform to these pieces of rebar, and what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of the 16 gauge wire, I'm going out about 15 inches, then I'm folding it in half like this, and I'm cutting it. Okay, this might be a little more than 15, but and then I'm taking my pliers and pinching the end, so you have something that looks like that. And then I'm taking it, bending it in half, and then fishing it through around one of the ribs. So I'm going low on one of the ribs and then high on the other side and pulling it through. And once you get it through, you want to get this rebar back against the rib if you can. And my rebar didn't go in perfectly straight, but and you get a little bit of a turn in it. And then as you turn this with your pliers, you kind of, if you've done any electrical work, you'll know what I'm doing, but you're going to put a braid in it like this, and that will pull the Stayform to the rebar, and the rebar to the Stayform, and then tuck that out of the way because you don't want it to get in the way of the concrete. That's just what I'm doing. I don't know if you really need to do that or not, but again, doing the same thing on the second one. According to the manual for this Stayform, you want to do this about every 10 inches on the vertical. Your rebar should be no more than 2 foot apart, so that's pretty good. Pretty good measurement on an 8-foot piece. If you can't tie it to the wall like I did, I tied it to the wall down here. So we tied it to the wall down here. We turned, we cut the ribs and bent it around and put some roofing screws in it, and then cut a hole in it so the pipe could come through. And then on the outside, we put the rebar at 2 foot, 4 foot, and 6 foot, and then we tacked it to this post. Alright, so quick little update here. As you can see in this area that you had just seen me cover up, we had put in these guys, these bars on the outside, just bent over a piece of rebar on the rebar and brought these in. However, these are not holding very well. This is standard. You just put them in, wrap them around the rebar, and the weight of the gravel would hold that in. However, these, maybe the height of this or something is pushing this wall back a little bit. We had the same thing happen over here, just on a smaller area, okay? And what we did is we took some 3/8 inch rebar and put it in, and then at the bottom down here, as you can see, we pounded in a piece of 1/2 inch rebar down into the ground. And the way that this happened is we made this horizontal, this piece of 3/8 inch rebar horizontal across here like this. And then we took the 1/2 inch and drove it straight down. And then as it started going down, well, it wasn't straight down, it was a little bit of a lean on it going away. As it went down, it got tighter and tighter. And then when we started pounding it into the ground, these bars over here started pulling tighter. But as you can see, there was already one here. It just wasn't holding as well. So this one here is now tied to the ground on the inside. We're going to do the same thing over here tomorrow. So this is what the gravel looks like from the porch point of view. All the Stayform's in place, all the way down. We have to get a check on these number 4s. Still have a bunch of this 411 to put in. We have temporary steps here because you kind of need them when you have animals. But the outside, as you can see, all the Stayform's in place. Fairly straight line, which is good, and straight line going the other way. And every one of these posts, like I said, they all have these pieces of 3/8 in, and they're a little into the ground a little bit, and pretty much the gravel is holding them up. So they're all staying in place, everything is good. Again, the posts are all wrapped in tar paper and been burned, and the next thing we have to do is just get the 411s put down on top of this and leveled out at the correct angle. So this back corner here, I don't know if you guys can see that pretty clearly, but there's a back corner right here. From that back corner down to this corner, there's a slope that's going to come this direction, and it's going to come from that side there down to this direction, and from this side of here down to this direction. So when it rains, snows, or whatever, all the water will have a way to come this direction and this direction, but it will primarily be coming off this point. Which leaves us with a little bit of a discussion my wife have been having. And that is, do we want to put a drain tile in here or somewhere down this way and bring it maybe back this way? Because we do have a drain tile laying right about here from where sump pumps come out. So they'll come up, come down right into this area here. And we could tie into that, and just as water came in, it would just go in and go. So that's another thing that we're talking about. But these are all kind of things that you got to take into consideration. So once the porch is done, eventually there'll be a nice patio out here. We'll come around this way, and there'll be the dog run will be back in here, and of course the dog run will definitely be going back into where this anchor is down here at the bottom, what Chet's standing by. So I'm going to put another hose right here. We might have to drag a string from back there out, because this is seeming like really low right here. Turn off the camera. Okay, it's a very early morning. This is the day before the pour. Haven't been filming everything that we've been doing because mainly we've been doing just this. And I'm gonna go like this. I've been putting this gravel in here, and as you know, it's been going in behind the stuff called Stayform, which is being held in place by a piece of rebar. Another piece of rebar is kind of jammed down on the ground and hooked on to keep that piece of rebar from the pressure from coming over. Now, while I was away for a day, basically the concrete team came in, which is Earl Parsons Jr. Concrete Construction, and they put these walls up. Okay, these are called forms, or exterior forms, and what they are is they're about 8 inches away from the Stayform. This here is where the waterfall effect is going to come in. Yesterday they came in and they put in, or last night they came in and they put in this this rebar down the side, as much as they had at the time. So they still have some more things they have to do on this, and there's gravel at the bottom, as you can see, to keep the concrete from coming out, and that gravel's put in to make sure that water has a way to get underneath the concrete, and if there's any water in it, it has a way to get out, sort of like a hole in a distributor cap. So this goes all the way down, which is about 50, I think it's 57 feet. There are places where we had our old post holes, and we put this piece of corrugated tile in here. It's only sitting on the top to keep the gravel from going in, and then this piece of rebar will go on top, and it will get tied to a screen, if you will, that's going to sit on top of this. It's like a big fence, and I will show that to you in a minute. There's going to be gravel that's going to be put up against the outside of this once this form comes down to keep this other gravel in, and eventually there'll be a patio that will sit here around this side. So this is just a quick update just to let you guys see what this looks like. Now, this gravel that's in here was put in wet down. Well, the number 4s are on the bottom. Just to give you a quick recap, number 4s are on the bottom. They come up to about 4 inches, maybe 5 inches from the top of the gravel that's in there, the 411s. So those are 4s. These are 411s. When the 411s go in, you put a bunch of it down, like a couple inches or so, and then you wet it. And the reason you wet it is because if you don't wet it, it's going to compact itself. And then you want to put more down, and this has been going on now for about a week and a half of just putting it in, wetting it, putting it in, wetting it, tamping it. So it was put the gravel in, wet it down, run a tamper across it, put some more gravel in, wet it down, put a tamper, run a tamper across it. And when you're doing that, if you're using Stayform like this, you want to stay about at least a foot and a half away from it. Okay, wet it down real good. It'll compact, but just stay about a foot and a half away from it with the tamper, because you could start pushing this stuff out. It's possible, so that's what I was told to do, and that's what we did. Once we got it all down, concrete team came in, and well, Earl came in, took a look at it, and said it's still a little bit low. So last night we put more gravel in, and just kind of, I shoveled it in, he spread it around and added about another 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch to it. This will compact down, but it is to grade as what it is. And the grades again starts back here at 4 inches from where the concrete's supposed to go. So 4 inches from the concrete, 4 inches down from the concrete, and then at this, and that goes here down the wall all the way down to here, and then from this point and arrow this whole line and here, all that comes down to this point, which is 2.5 inches lower than the point on the house. So all this is kind of coming this way, and it's coming this way at the same time. So if you measure from this point out here in the corner to here, it's 2.5 inches lower. Any point on here, it's 2.5 inches lower once you get to this end. So like I said, that's just a quick recap. Today they're coming in to finish up the rest of the rebar down in the middle here and tie this to the top. And what that looks like is this out here. It's really heavy duty stuff. It's to keep the concrete from cracking. So they're going to come in, get that done today, and tie all that together. And then my job today is to get all this wood, well, not today, tonight, is to get all this wood moved out of the way so a concrete truck can come through this gate tomorrow morning around 7 o'clock, and this gate will be gone. So I got to take the gate down, I got to take these posts out that hold the gate up to give us a good 10 foot 4 inches. So that's what my job is tonight, to get this done, so before that they come in tomorrow. And this is the remaining of the gravel that we have. Again, there's now about 80 tons of gravel in here. So this is a big porch. Not that you're going to need 80 tons of gravel, but this is a big porch. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned a lot about how to set up forms and stuff and Stayforms for a concrete porch. One of the things that I did learn while doing this is if you're using Stayform and you're putting your vertical post in, make sure when you put your horizontal, we call them shepherd's hooks, around the post to keep them from going up, make sure you bury those in the ground pretty far. Otherwise, if you start walking near the edge of the Stayform is going to push out. Now, there's probably not that much of a problem with just laying them in the gravel and using the weight of the gravel if you're doing it all in like a day, all at the same time. But with here, we were not doing that. It took us about 3 weeks to get everything set up, and so burying them in the ground is much better. If you liked the video, please click like, and please subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more stuff, maybe not as big as this porch, that are going to be done, but there's a lot of really cool things that go on here. If you guys have any comments or questions or anything, please throw them into the comment section. As always, you're always welcome at the shop, and have a nice day.